Chapter 3 Hardware. After completing this chapter, I hope you will be able to differentiate between the four basic types of system unit, recognize different microprocessors, including microprocessor chips and specialty processors, compare different types of computer memory, including RAM, ROM, and flash memory, explain input and output devices, distinguish between primary and secondary storage, explain communication devices, explain connectivity, the wireless revolution, and communication systems, describe physical and wireless communication channels, differentiate between connection devices and services, including dial-up, DSL, cable, satellite, and cellular, and finally identify the categories of computers. Computer hardware is the physical parts or components or devices or peripherals and materials used in information processing for that a computer systems need to function. Computer hardware is the collections of all the parts that we can physically touch. The components that make up hardware can be categorized as being either internal or external. Internal components are those installed inside the computer, and the external components are connected to the outside of the computer. Example of the internal components are a circuit board that operates within a personal computer or a laptop, including the motherboard, graphics card, central processing unit, ventilation fans, power supply, and so on. Okay, for example, like random access memory, network card, sound card, video card, modem, CD drive, DVD drive, hard disk drive. An example of the external components are such as the monitor, keyboard, mouse, and other external devices. For example, joysticks, microphones, printers, scanners, speaker, and USB thumb drive. The word computer comes from the word compute, which means to calculate. It is a machine or electronic device that manipulates information or data. It has the ability to store, retrieve, and process data. It can also be programmed to carry out calculations and operations based on the instruction provided and show or display the result. By definition, a computer is an electronic device or a programmable machine that receives inputs, store and manipulates data, which include retrieve and processes data. It can also be programmed with instructions and provides output in a useful format. So a computer is composed of hardware and software and can exist in a variety of sizes and configurations. Computers operate through these four basic functions. receive input, which is the transfer of information into the system. For example, through a keyboard. Process information, for example, the retrieval or manipulations of information into a new form. For example, like the results from a search engine. Produce output, for example, the presentation of information to the user, for example, on a screen display. And last function is to store information, for example, the storing or preservation of information for later use. For example, files stored on a hard drive. To illustrate the four functions of a computer, we can take a look at the basic steps we all go through to produce a letter on the computer. It starts when the user composes, inputs and edits set of letters, numbers and symbols using a keyboard. So the raw data is then processed and viewed real time via display hardware. Finally, the user may choose to print the letter onto paper or send it via electronic mail to designated recipients. The same data and information can be retained digitally in disk drive and other media for future reference. So data input is the process of entering any type of data and instructions into a computer systems by using input devices such as a keyboard, mouse, scanner, microphone, and etc. We use such input devices to input the data into the computer by typing the words and sentences through the keyboard, by scrolling and clicking the buttons through the mouse, recording the audio and video through microphone and camera. By using these input devices, we can perform the basic tasks in a computer like calculations, viewing the images and videos, listening to the audios, preparing the PowerPoint documents, browsing the internet. So in fact, all the basic functions of a computer user are initiated by inputting the data into the computer through input devices. The second function is processing data. So this processing function is the second step that offers the process and handling of the input data instructed by the user. To process the user input data, computer needs a central processing unit. So the CPU takes data and instruction from the input devices and performs all types of calculations based on the instructions given. It consists of manipulating the data in different ways, performing calculations, modifying the instructions, coding, and executing the actions. So all this process is done with the help of the processor, power supply unit, and random access memory presented in the central processing unit. The third function is storing the data. The computer must store the data permanently so that it is available while processing data temporarily. The function of data storage is an important component for the proper functioning of computer system. Basically, there are two types of storage in the CPU of a computer. One is random access memory, which is used for processing the input data temporarily. And the second one is read-only memory ROM, which is used to store processed data permanently. The final function is output function. So this is the fourth and the last functions of the computer is the output. That means the results generated by the computer once the processing of the CPU is completed based on the instruction given by the user. So the output is in the form of documents, videos, audio, graph, images, and etc. that we can see from the output devices such as computer monitor, printer, speakers, headphones, or screen projector. There are 5 main components of a computer. Processing device such as motherboard and or system board and a central processing unit. Input devices, output devices, storage device, and communication devices. Collectively, these components make up the computer system. Processing is the core functions of any computer. When a computer receives data from an input device, this data must first go through an intermediate stage before it is sent to an output device. Processing is the intermediate stage where raw data is transformed into information so that it can be outputted meaningfully for the user. An example of a processing device is the central processing unit or CPU, located inside the computer on the motherboard or on the system board. Input devices comprise of any devices that users need in order to give instructions to a computer. Essentially, input devices act as the medium for sending data to a computer so that users can interact with and control it. The most widely known examples are the keyboard and mouse. Input devices are also used to transfer data between computers. Output devices are devices that allow computers to send data to other devices or to users. In general, the data that computers send to human users is in forms that we can understand. Most often, these forms include audio and video. The most widely known examples of output devices are monitors, speakers, and printers. Okay, these devices produce video, audio, and graphic output. Storage devices are any devices that are capable of storing information temporarily or permanently. There are 2 types of memory, primary and secondary. Primary memory refers to random access memory, which is used to store instructions and data temporarily before and after they are processed. Secondary memory refers to any external storage media that information can be stored long term. The most common examples of secondary memory device is the hard disk drive and USB flash drive. Final components of a computer is communication device. A communication device is any type of hardware capable of transmitting data, instructions, and information between a sending device and a receiving device. The best example of a communication device is a computer modem Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, network interface card, which is capable of sending and receiving a signal to allow computers to talk to others computers. Let us see the first components of a computer, which is a motherboard. Motherboard is also known as the main board, system board, planar board, or logic board. It is the main printed circuit board or PCB inside a computer that connects the different parts of a computer together. Motherboard holds many of the crucial electronic components of the system, such as it has sockets for the CPU, RAM, and expansion cards. It also provides connectors for other peripherals such as sound cards, video cards, network cards, hard drive, or other forms of persistent storage. It also have TV tuner cards or cards providing extra USB or FireWire slots, sockets, and bus lines. So the motherboard serves as a single platform to connect all of the parts of a computer together. It connects the CPU, memory, the hard drive, optical drive, video card, sound card, and other ports and expansion cards directly or via cables. So motherboard can be considered as the backbone of a computer. Motherboard links all the individual parts of a computer together and also allows the CPU to access and control these separate parts. Other than bridging internal computer components, the motherboard ports also allow us to connect external devices to the computer. Such external devices would include the monitor, speakers, headphones, microphone, keyboard, mouse, modem, and other USB devices. The motherboard is mounted inside the case and is securely attached via small screws. Okay, you can see the hole over here. Okay, one over here, one over there, one over there, one over there, and one over there, another one over here as well as over here. So these are for the screws. Okay, so motherboard contain ports to connect all of the internal components. It provides a socket for CPU. Okay, it can have one socket, two or four CPU socket. So this is an example of the CPU socket. This one. Okay, whereas for memory, normally there are several slots available. Okay, over here there are 4 slots of DIMM memory. Okay, this is the slot for the memory. So motherboard provide ports to attach the floppy drive. Okay, for the floppy drive we can see the floppy drive connector. Okay, hard drive. So there are 2 ports for the IDE hard drive, 2 connector, IDE connector. Or if you have the hard drive using the SATA hard drive, SATA connector, we have 4 connectors for SATA connector. And optical drive via ribbon cables. Okay. Motherboard carries fans and special port designed for power supply. You can see there is a 24-pin ATX power connected. So this is to connect with the power supply. And there is a peripheral card slot. Okay, over here we have the PCI slot. There are 3 PCI slot on this motherboard. Okay, in front of the motherboard using which video card, sound card and other expansion cards can be connected to the motherboard. So we can plug in the sound card or the video card or the other expansion cards. Okay, and on the side, motherboards carry a number of connectors for integrated peripherals or ports to connect the monitor, printer, mouse, keyboard, speaker, and network cables. Okay, here we can see the COM port for the mouse. Here we can use to connect the keyboard using PS2 keyboard. We can connect using the PS2 mouse over here. We have the USB. We have the FireWire. We have the output for speakers. We have the input for microphone. Okay, and we can also connect to the display adapter or the monitor. So motherboards also provide USB ports. So here are 3 over here USB ports. Okay, which allows compatible devices to be connected in plug-in or plug-out fashion. For example, we can connect pen drive or digital cameras on the USB ports. CPU or processor is a piece of hardware which is part of a computer system that is contained on a single chip called microprocessor. A microprocessor is a multi-purpose, programmable, clock-driven, register-based device that takes input and provides output. Clock-driven or clock speed is number of times the CPU can fetch and process data and instructions in a second. CPU is the portion of a computer system that carries out the instructions of a computer program and is the primary element carrying out the computer's function. CPU is known as the brains of the computer system. It manipulates raw data into a more useful form and controls the other parts of the computer system. The CPU is placed into a specific square-shaped socket found on all motherboards by inserting its metallic connectors or pins found on the underside. Each socket is built with a specific pin layout to support only a specific type of processor. Since modern CPUs produce a lot of heat and are prone to overheating, they must be kept cool with appropriate fans or ventilation system and covered with heat sinks and thermal paste. To control instructions and data flow to and from other parts of the computer, the CPU relies heavily on a chipset, which is a group of microchips located on the motherboard. So the examples of the CPU are Intel Pentium, AMD Athlon, Sun Ultrasparks, and many more. So a list of CPU can be found at this URL address. Okay, this is the website, okay, that have the CPU benchmark. Okay, so here are lists of CPU. Okay, this is updated on the 24th of August. So we have the CPU name AMD, and there is a lot of variants of CPU AMD. Okay, and we have the AMD EPYC, AMD Ryzen. Okay, we have Intel Xeon Platinum. We have the Intel Xeon Gold. We have Intel Core i9. Intel Core i7. AMD Ryzen 5. Okay, so here are all the list of the CPU name. Okay, so we can see there are a lot of them. Okay, until at the end we can find the Intel Pentium. Okay, still on the list. Intel Pentium 4. Okay, we have Intel Celeron. Okay, I can see Intel Celeron. We have ARM Cortex. Okay, we have via Eden, via Nehemiah. Okay, mobile Intel Celeron. Okay, this is very quite old CPU. Okay, and also this CPU is arranged in the term of CPU max. Okay, the higher is the better. So this is the rank. Okay, the rank. Okay, you can see if you want to buy a CPU or a computer. Okay, look for the highest rank. Okay, the highest rank for today is the AMD EPYC 7763. So this is the most powerful single CPU system for today. Okay, even though we still have a lot of multi CPU system. Okay, for example, we have dual CPU AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro 3995WX. So this is for multi CPU system. This is a dual CPU, two CPU. Okay, so this is the single CPU system. For example, the CPU that is used on the single socket CPU motherboard. Okay, but the price is not available right now for AMD EPYC 7763. Okay, and for AMD Ryzen's, if you can see here, okay, so the AMD Ryzen Threadripper Pro 3995WX, so the price is 5,483 US dollars. Okay, so the ranking is number 4. Okay, so if you take a look at the price of the CPU, the most expensive one is the Intel Xeon Platinum 8280 at 2.7 gigahertz. So the price is about $9,242. Okay, so if you want to buy a new computer or a new laptop or just a CPU, then probably you use this CPU benchmark net to know what is the best CPU in the market. Okay, an example. Okay, my computer, so which I bought, okay, last year in April. Okay, so this computer is bought in 21st April. Okay, 2020, and the price is 3,148. Okay, actually 3,000. Okay, because 148 248 is for extra RAM and also for installing the software. So it's only 2,900 for the computers during this time. And the rank, okay, when I first bought this computer and I compare the rank in the CPU benchmark, it shows that this is about 150 rank. Okay, the rank for this computer is between 150 to 160. I'm not quite sure. Okay, the rank, but it is less than 200. Then the range is between 150 to 160. So that is about more than a year ago, 1 year 4 months. And if we take a look at today's rank, okay, my computer. So this computer is using this processor AMD Ryzen 7 3750H. So I'll copy this one 3750H. Okay, so this is with 8 gig of RAM. Okay, and if I use find here Control F 3750H, you can see that the rank now is in 600. Before this is less than 200. Okay, about a year ago, okay, this was about in 150 rank, and now is more than 600 rank. So for example, if you want to buy a computer, for example, we take a look at the Shopee here. Let's see if you want to buy a new laptop. Okay, or notebook or whatever. Okay, wait, let's see if this one. Okay, so take the price. Okay, price high to low. Okay, we take the expensive one. Let's see the price of Lenovo Yoga. Is it worth or not to buy? Okay, so this Lenovo Yoga 9 is 6,145, and let's see what types of CPU it is been using. Okay, for example, this one is using Intel Core i7. Okay, i1185G7. Okay, we just copy this one. Okay, and then we go here and then we paste over here, and we can find there are two of this type. One is at using 57E, and another one is just 5G7. So this is the range of 481. So for the price of nearly 6,145. Okay, so you can make comparison with the other computers for like this one. Okay, HP Spectre X360. So for this one, the 1165G7. Okay, 1165. This one is 481, and this one is 495. So which is the best? So this one is 6,428, and before this is 6,145. So which is worth to buy between these two, so you can make the comparison. Even though you can see some are comparing with i7 and i5. If you look at the pass mark, some i5 are better than i7. Okay, please note that not all Intel Core i9 is better than i7 or i5. Sometimes, okay, i5 is better than i7. Okay, for example, like this one, Intel Core i5 10503. So this is better than Intel Core i7 1165G7. So this is a tip if you want to buy a laptop or a computer, then probably you take a look on this website. Okay.